Welcome to another episode of Millennial Investing Explained. Here's today's question. When I think of millennials, the biggest opportunity we have is our time. So if we really wait until we've quote unquote earned the right to invest, aren't we passing up on our biggest opportunity, our time?
Yeah, that's the appropriate rebuttal to what I just said. And you're talking about, compounding interest ultimately. If we're not getting that early start today, we're really going to miss out. And I would challenge that with, if you don't have the discipline, right? If you don't have the fundamentals in place, you're kidding yourself that you think you're going to go play the game and get all those things that you think you're missing out on. I think that's a fallacy. I'm making the bet that you'll do better by first building a discipline and then go into it. I'm not talking about like missing 5 years. Like if you really want to get this discipline, you can knock it out in 12 months.
I agree. I mean, a year isn't really going to make that big of a difference when it comes to compounding, really. And I think you're really talking about having a strong foundation, because if you don't build that foundation first, everything you build on top of it is just going to collapse. So it doesn't matter if you start a year late as long as you build that really strong foundation.
My favorite financial writers, his name's Morgan Housel. And, one of my favorite lines, I said, there are a few things in this world you can easily learn that will radically change your life for the better. And personal finance is one of those things. It's like one of my bomb lines. And it just gets people thinking. And he comes in and replies, personal finance, diet, and exercise. Doesn't matter if you're not interested in them. They're interested in you. And that goes right back to what you just said, right? It's like the diet and the exercise. People need to understand what makes personal finance so hard is that you're trying to strike the balance between a subjective lifestyle and your goals and saving for your goals. That's the winner line right there. Striking a balance between your lifestyle and consistently saving towards your goals. That's what makes personal finance so hard. Not the math, not the concepts, not the investments, none of it. That single thing right there is what makes it hard, because we're humans.
To your point, I wanted to bring up Ramit Sethi's book, because in that he talks about how people should spend lavishly on the things that they want as long as they're cutting back in other places. Where do you fall on this? Do you agree with that, or do you see it a little differently?
I find myself more aligned with Ramit than not. He knows what he's talking about, and his style is really cool, and he's extremely popular for all the right reasons. So I agree with him, because you say, look, him and I are like the folks that will be like, go buy the latte. That's not the thing that's going to move the meter. It's rent, it's transit. Go to the items where young people and people in general spend the most of their money. Housing's 1, transit's 2, student loans is 6. I've done that. So I'm in agreement with him here, because he's not saying spend to your heart's content. He's like, what he is saying is what I am telling you about mastering your cash flow. Again, that quote I gave you about striking the balance between your lifestyle and your goals. That is the epitome of what we're going for here. I think if he was here right now, he'd be like, yeah. I think that's what he's getting at. And I think that coincides very well with what I'm saying, about striking that balance. I want people in a perfect world, if I said, hey, what's your lifestyle expense number? It's the first of the month. I hand you this cash. What is it that lets you live the subjective comfort level that you need? Mastering cash flow will tell you that number. Why don't people know that number?
I think the hard truth is that people just truly don't want to know. I think they want to continue on the way they are, almost as if ignorance is bliss. And if they aren't consciously aware of what's wrong, then they don't need to make any changes. That's all for this episode of Millennial Investing Explained. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or subscribe to our YouTube channel to get even more free content.